Hello.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey.
Hey.
How the devil are
Penguin
you?
Box.
Hello.
Okay, look at you. Look at you. You just like cleaned up well, Tony.
Oh,
What
put a little suit
Tony took
jacket on.
does that
Yeah,
mean?
he's found his
a
wallet, Mel.
shower.
What does that mean for yesterday? Yeah.
I have the dream team. Look at this.
Isn't it awesome?
Mel, yeah, so you've got a couple of initiatives you're running at the moment at IBM. We
Only
just
a
had
couple.
Think.
What are you talking about?
27.
Or should I?
Not.
Yeah, you're nearly as busy as Sally, right?
Nobody's as busy as Sally.
And you can never get a calendar appointment with Sarbjeet because he doesn't even read his email.
Sorry, guys. I got bad over the years. I don't rely on email. No, I don't.
You can find him on Twitter. Just tag him on Twitter. He'll respond there.
Exactly. That's my.
I learned
Yeah.
you got to get them DM and cell phone, and that's how you get them.
Well,
Sorry.
so Mel, come on. Quick summary about Think. Very, very brief one, an overview. What did you think of it? First digital mainstream event.
You know, it's always hard to bring a in-person event to life in digital, especially when you've got so many events happening digitally these days. But I really, we talked about this the other day, but I really enjoyed the focus on purpose, focus on corporate social responsibility. For me, it made me proud to be an IBMer, to think about how do I bring my purpose and my passion into my job and know that the big boss says it's okay. And I think all of us IBMers know that it's okay and we do it. But I think it really reinforced that idea that when you come in to do your job, think about what else you can do to make the world a better place. And I see it as doing well while doing good. And they're not a trade-off. You can do both at the same time.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, we had a discussion yesterday about it, but we'll summarize our thoughts on it, really. Sarbjeet.
Yeah.
2020, eh?
Yeah. I think I
Was it
agree
good
with
for you?
Melissa. Huh?
Was it good for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting, I will say, is the right word. IBM is pivoting. It's like rebooting kind of company, and I have mixed feelings. I hope they pull it off. I still think the focus on practitioner is way less, and it's still focused on the corporate and C-level people. All the messaging, all the marketing, architecture, every talk. Lately it comes across with Erwin talking about like technology as a CEO, which is great thing. I think a technologist at the top of the leadership chain, if you will. But I think we'll see in maybe a year or so, like where IBM is.
Sally.
I'd like to see more. Just real quick before I want to make a comment if you don't mind. But I think you're right. I think I'd love to see more, conversation around the citizen developer. I'd love to see more conversations around, entrepreneurship and the startup community. Sorry, Sally, I didn't mean to jump in before you. I was jumping at the bit there. That's like a practice that I can't be quiet about.
I love that. I'm all for passion. That's very me. So I love that. No, you jump in there. Absolutely.
Okay.
For me, and I think that Mel, I agree on quite a lot of things around aligning purpose and passion and being embedded in all you do. And again, for me, the biggest takeaway was the amount of time that was spent on those types of topics. So I absolutely love that. And I had the privilege of leading a session called Modernising IT in a Post-COVID Context. And again, I was able to kind of embed that flavour into it. And one of the examples was the Watson chip, effectively the first autonomous vehicle at sea, launching in September, 400 years legacy. And what I loved about that, it wasn't just about the technology. It wasn't about doing something just because it's an anniversary and a milestone. It was about what the legacy of that's going to be for the next X amount of years. And I love that. And there's a big investment and talk about skills development and what we can learn for that for future generations. So for me, that was my biggest takeaway. And I love being part of anything like that. So that was a real joy.
And T-Man.
Thanks there, dog father.
Nice.
So yeah, woof woof. I really enjoyed the whole session there with Jeannie and Will.i.am. Just the whole talking about inclusion and talking about how do you really I like the term that was put on there. What was it? Instead of blue collar, new collar, right?
Collar.
new collar, just taking individuals, because really we don't know totally what the learning path is going to be to totally embrace all this emerging technology, because it's evolving so fast, right? And there's these, you know, young people that are getting back out into the market, and it's not the typical, you know, IT job that you come into and it's pretty standard and steady and this is what you're going to do for your time here. We don't really, there's a lot of things happening in short order. So it's good to see that. And then the other thing I really like to see was the whole AI and edge, right? It's really good to see that edge. You hear so much about it, to actually hear about it being more lit up with controls right at the edge. I think that's just, it makes so much sense. Why truck everything back to a data center to only come back in for, you know, analytics? So that was exciting.
Very true.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's one of my highlights as well was to do with AI, was the AI ops side of things, you know, with a reintroduction to Watson, right? So, you know, a lot of people have, and certainly people that I've been talking to in the MSP world, so what's going on with Watson, right, with IBM? Don't hear about it. We don't hear anything about it. All of a sudden, bang, this is what we're doing with it, right?
In your face.
And it's like, whoa, right? We've listened, and now we've delivered, right? That side of attitude, right? I quite like it. And in my opinion, this I guess will lead on to about IBM, is that, you know, the whole rebranding and the Linux One environment now is so much here and now, right? And it doesn't really get much airtime, and it should, because with that, you know, I was talking to developers within the mainframe environments and Z system about putting Watson on a low scale onto the Linux One as an embed analytic tool. I said it makes perfect sense, right? And it looks like it's going that way, which is great. So I'm really pleased to see that. So, but
Well,
you don't want to talk about it.
I took down that word cloud. I've got the word cloud still here.
That was quite nice. And the birds that go around my head are from a bonk, just FYI.
Nope, I got the word cloud right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it says inclusion, narrative, purpose, opportunity. Oh, and purpose was said twice. Sally and I agree. Opportunity, storytelling, new beginnings, and open.
That's
Storyboard.
about right. That sums up the event, I guess.
Yeah.
And Renaissance, maybe Renaissance. What you were saying about Linux One on the mainframe, I think it's actually a bit of a renaissance of the mainframe.
Is it Linux or Linux One?
Oh, that's a good one. Tomato and
potato, tomato.
Linux or Linux?
Linux.
Yeah.
Or is it Azure or Azure?
Well, very.
Who cares, right?
Well done. Well done.
I think half of Melissa's heart.
That's what we'll tell the Microsoft guys.
Hey, no. Y'all are going to be fired on the quick.
Are you spy of Microsoft at IBM?
She was a transplant. She did put a number of years in Microsoft.
I did.
So Mel, welcome chatting to us today.
Thank you.
I want you to tell us all about what IBM's doing with these startup communities.
Sure. Well, as everybody knows, or if you don't know, you are about to find out. I am very passionate about early stage entrepreneurship. And I actually left another big tech company, which we were talking about a second ago, to create
Microsoft.
Yes, that's true. To create a new startup program and it's called IBM HyperProtect Accelerator. We focus on fintech, health tech, and insurtech startups. So any startup that's dealing with personally identifiable information, such as medical records, financial services records, at the individual level. For those startups, actually, I'm recruiting 30. Yes, 30 startups. I'll have 45 startups in my program by the end of this year, which I'm incredibly excited about. What do they get? They get $120,000 in cloud credits, and we take that, and I like to say we put it on steroids. So we provide 2 years of technical mentorship, and this is not, type in a chat window or something like that. It's a real life person, real life people, I should say, engineers at IBM. And then we also have 1 year of business mentorship. And these all happen virtually. We do a virtual accelerator. Last year we did an in-person accelerator, but we all know that Times are interesting right now, and we're all dealing with the new norm. Go-to-market, collaboration, and the idea is, how do we partner with these early-stage startups to help them on their path to partner, on their path to ISV, so that we really build and scale. I'm personally excited about what the future brings. It's a global program, and the kinds of startups we look for beyond industry is less than $1 million in revenue, less than 5 years old. You got to have a pitch deck, a website, and an email address. So.
Oh, I got a quick question that came to mind. If your startups are on steroids, do you have any problems with your entrepreneurs that get started up where they get a little aggressive and they're like, no, you need to be on our solution. This is the solution for you.
You know, yeah, you know, I mean, whatever works, you know. Get
to the chopper. Get to the chopper.
Well, I wish I could respond in a better accent, but you know, I really missed that one.
He's Austrian, not German, by the way.
There you go. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I'm not smarter than a third grader.
I think I'm going to resemble that soon.
So Mel, you've been doing a lot around the startup initiatives, you know, and I've seen some videos. I've been in a couple.
Better have seen some videos.
Oh, yeah, and you know, where do you think? I've got an interesting concept of the four of us starting our own startup and entering your competition. What would we need to do?
What would you need to do to win my startup competition?
Yeah, or to be in it.
I got it. So, well, the first thing is you need to have a company. Do you have a company? Okay.
Yes.
Check mark.
Just assume it's yes.
Okay, awesome. We got a company. First thing, is your company less than 5 years old?
Yeah.
Yes.
Done. And have you brought in less than $1 million in revenue?
Oh, totally.
Okay, now here's the part that might knock you out. Are you dealing with personally identifiable information like social security numbers or dates of birth or my medical records? I hope you do not have my medical records.
We do. I'm just kidding.
We do after yesterday's Zoom video.
Can you make sure that?
Don't even mention that.
That's a joke. Private joke out there, everyone. Don't worry about it.
Right.
I blame that on Dickens. He wanted an open session. I said no. It was a bit of a head.
I told you not to tweet it. I told you not to tweet it twice. Yeah, never tweet that.
You did say that, Sarbjeet. I will say.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think the criteria is pretty good. I think the PII, the personal identifiable information, that is the most limiting factor. But everything else is pretty loose.
Yeah.
Because you know, like some companies might be interested, but they don't deal with that kind of data, right? So
let me explain that a little bit, just so it kind of unpacks why. So we have a product at IBM that's called IBM Cloud HyperProtect Services, and it's the first Z product that's offered in the cloud. So it's quite special for my division, and I would say we'll go back to the steroids comment. It's encryption on steroids. How is that? So, you know, we don't have access to your keys. There are a number of different components that come into it. But if you think about the financial services cloud that IBM launched with Bank of America, it leverages this product. And so we're focused on data protection, privacy, and security, which ladders up into making use of this specific product. You can use whatever products you want, but we ask that as part of the cohort, you do utilize this product. And honestly, if you're not dealing with sensitive data, that product is irrelevant to you. And so some of the mentorship around data protection, privacy, and security is also going to be irrelevant to you.
Well, I just think
is it a plan in the future to mix it up a little bit? Like, so the 70% of the companies will have that kind of sort of profile, if you will, but the 30% is like non-PII.
You know, that's a great question. And I think that I need to make sure that I stay fit for purpose in terms of where I ladder up within the world of IBM, because IBM's a big place and we've got a lot of different programs and a lot of different activities. So there are a number of different accelerators that are more broad. You know, so for example, we have an accelerator that's based out of Israel that focuses on all kinds of startups but the Israeli market. We have another one that's in the northeastern corner of the US. They focus bigger, broader across the industry. We have the Startup with IBM program that's more about credits and kind of a one-to-many model. There's a blockchain accelerator. But I think in terms of having one startup accelerator that looks across all of the different industries, we don't have that now. Will we have that in the future? Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. I put you to work though, so you're signing up for some work.
You got to work.
Yeah, I think definitely. I don't know if
you guys were going to do it.
If you're taking any external mentors, if you are looking for external mentors,
yeah, we are.
You count us in. So.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I will tell you, I have something fun that I'm getting ready to kick off. I'm actually doing a monthly show with my co-founder of my own startup, and we are going to go through the startup journey. Every single month we have a topic, and we will do it live. We will have 2 to 3 mentors who will be giving us live feedback in the call, going through our startup journey. And we have 12 episodes. It's launching probably the 2nd in June.
Fantastic.
So you will all be roped in.
Cool.
All right, cool.
We're in.
Thanks a lot.
Thinking about making our own idea and being part of your competition.
Yeah.
Thanks for volunteering us, Neil. Yeah. Thanks.
Well, why not, right?
You're mentoring. You're joining
guys,
me
we
on my startup journey.
we were not prepared to do this, but you're doing it on the fly, Neil. So yeah, you're committing here publicly.
We're impromptu.
The villager has spoken.
I'm up for it.
I can't believe
We've got the chopper. We're all good. We got the chopper.
To laugh for ages, and he smiled. Yes. So, I know I put us all on the spot, but what do you think, guys? We could come up with one idea, plan it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, like I had this on my last podcast. I talked about how I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna, get in the mud. I'm gonna, get more embedded with emerging technology. I'm gonna do some Python courses. I'm gonna do some other things, right? A Tableau. I think I've got some log into there, and really get more in monogamy.
Tony, that's a lot of stuff, mate, to learn quickly, right?
He forgot that he's running for governor as well.
Obviously, Tony's found his wallet.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Tony.
Where are those moths?
Yeah, I did find my wallet, and I've been busy lightening it. Yeah, I've been doing work on my house. Yeah.
And he's taking a shower, which is great.
Ah!
No, that is an attack.
Oh, wow. Tough crowd.
Somebody noticed.
You have bad BO once.
Well, so
bring your own bucket.
So
I like how everybody got awkward on that. I can do that. Yeah.
Like, well, on that note.
On that note, we have some questions to poise pass over to you regarding your Accelerator scheme. Right? So we're interested about the startup community, without a doubt. Now more than ever, I think. But lack of funding. Is it a good time to start a company? Well, is it ever? And certainly post-COVID, it's going to be tough. And most existing businesses are struggling. So, for me, I think for a startup to fulfill their idea and their passion is great. How do you think that? I mean, they're going to be coping, in this pandemic or post-pandemic, Mel?
It's really hard. I'll tell you, I've been speaking to a lot of startups, and I think it is going to be a hard recruitment period for me compared to other times in my career. Just like we're all learning the new norm right now, and I think the same is going to be for me looking at recruiting my new group of startups. We're hearing that a lot of startups are looking for investment capital. They're just trying to stay afloat. We all know the facts and figures around the number of startups that fail. It's a huge number, right? I have a lot of startup friends that have had to, and small businesses that have had to downsize, and a lot of, companies are looking for, support, whether that's, government support or bringing in additional funds from somewhere. But it's hard on everyone. I mean, even large companies are changing the way that they're doing business. So of course it's trickling down into the startup world. That said, I'm also seeing that some trends in terms of people kind of re-looking at what they want to do in their lives and their careers, and what purpose and passion do they want to inject into their lives above and beyond the job, and saying, this is the thing that I was born to do. This is the thing that I've always wanted to do. And if not now, when? And if not me,
what are you out right now, really? That's what I've seen, right? Like I saw someone challenging this on LinkedIn, right? What's stopping you right now in all this pandemic concern and everything else from maybe, instead of going straight, take a right turn?
Yeah, I think downturn, historically, the downturns has been known for like a lot of innovation. Like people, when they're off from the routine, the mundane, what most of the jobs turn into that, we know that. And then they step back, as you said, and they're laid off, or they get off work, or the business is slow. So they look at things differently, and then the innovation happens. Like there's so many examples in the history like that.
Absolutely. And I had a recent podcast with Matt Carletto out of Poland, and he's really involved in the startup. Melissa, I'm trying to get a call going.
Oh, yes.
Right. So this is another shout out plug for that. FYI, Matt. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Matt. Apparently,
Hello, Matt.
connected with Tony Ramon.
This little conversation here, Matt, this is all about startups. Just, we're just plugging it out there, right?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing there is, one thing that he said, and this is so true, like from what he's seen out there, right, is in light of this pandemic concern, you're having three things happening. You're either having organizations like where you're asking questions, are you quitting? Or are you adapting? Or are you becoming the leader of tomorrow, right? And many organizations and industries, they have to face quitting. We don't know what retail is going to look like. We don't know what food services is completely going to look like.
I also think we're seeing a real ethos of partnership. And for me, one of the biggest legacies for this is trying to continue that. As we're seeing a lot of organizations that traditionally would be competitive coming together and collaborating at scale. So I've been involved in a couple of high performance computing programs, looking at how we can look at the data to make interventions around vaccine development, but also some of the other things that aren't talked about quite as much around how can we help people around things like isolation and mental health, which I'm very passionate about that area as well. And there, they've 8 organizations, traditionally market competitors, but all of them have got involved, giving capacity, giving computing power, and also partnering more closely with universities. So I've come at it from both the practice perspective and the research and bridging that gap. And so I've loved what I've seen around that. And again, something positive to come out of everything that's happened. I really hope we can continue that. And that's something I'm really passionate about helping to do.
Tech for good. The professor's got it covered.
This actually made me think a lot about the hackathon that we created, or I created with UNESCO and SAP recently, called Code the Curve, which is all about using technology and data science to fight back against COVID-19. And we had, almost 200 applications come in 9 days. I know, Sally, you were a judge, and I know, Neil, you were a judge, and I'm sorry, Sarbjeet, I owe you one there. Don't worry, you will be a mentor. We had 40, we picked, there were almost 200 teams. We picked 40 teams to participate, 34 submitted ideas from 26 countries, 167 people making up those 34 teams, 3 ideas. And I think won prizes, and they're all going to get 1 year of access to IBM Linux One Community Cloud. We're going to give them 1 year of mentorship, 3 months of mentorship with SAP, and the grand prize winner gets the entire team gets an internship with SAP. Cool thing about that, the same winning team, one of the winning teams from Code the Curve applied to Call for Code, so one of our flagship projects or initiatives, and they rocked that and won that too. So,
Wow.
These things are interlinked. These things are interlinked. And I have done a lot of work in the, Mel knows that, in the Bay Area. I used to work at Rackspace, and we had a deal with 500 startups. I used to go there on pitch days, and we had a 3 years marketing deal. So I was the adult supervision for all the kids working on those programs, kind of thing. So, and after that, I invested money into an incubator, which has taken more than 110 startups through the program so far. So it's a totally different world. My question to you, Mel, is that once the companies come into you, to your incubator, right? What happens next? Do you hook them up to VCs, and like, do you have those connections, and what do you do next?
Yeah, so basically how it works is we bring them into the program. We have and how it worked last year is we had a 1 week in-person kind of mini accelerator, if you will, business and technical enablement. We're moving that to digital this year. So see that as, let's say, 40 hours of, collaboration. We'll figure out how it's going to work this year. It'll happen October, November, something like that. And then from there, we have monthly, business enablement calls that happen with mentors in the business community. So this is not coming from an IBMer who's been, lived and breathed IBM for their entire lives and may not, resonate so well with the startup. So that happens from the outside. We work with Queen City FinTech and Village Capital. Those are our 2 accelerator partners. We also have a partnership with Medici, Female Founders Alliance. There's a number of different partners that we collaborate with. And then on the technical side, we do that once a month for 2 years. Now, I think that each startup, their needs are different, right? So there's no one size fits all to say everybody gets this and here's their path. Because what we do is we try to create a program that is, a bit customized yet scalable for the group of startups. Now, since I just launched the program last year and they're all kind of still getting onboarded, because we had our first set of meetings in November. We're in, May now. They're still making their way through the program. But it is my hope that how this works is they come into the program as a startup, less than $1 million in revenue. They go through their building and scaling activities together with us. And again, we know that a lot of startups fail, but they actually do get connected to VC funding, whether that's through IBM, through someone that, they bring in, or it just happens naturally through the partnership.
So you are not the pre-incubator party. Somebody can be in an incubator and then they can still work with you. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think, what if we come up with a funky idea that may be an entrant to your accelerator?
All ideas are welcome, again, as long as you fit the criteria.
Yeah.
We can start collecting the credit card data for some reason, and then we qualify, and then later we can say,
could you just give us your credit card information, please? And what's that security code again, please? And if you don't mind, I'll just need your social insurance number or your security number. And
we've been talking about online security. It's a good point, Tony, right?
Well, I'm look at me. Look at behind me, right? I've got my official looking certificate. I'm in a suit jacket. Why would you not do business with me online?
What are you wearing on the bottom?
I have sweat.
Stand up, Tony.
I have. Yeah, too bad, eh? I had like.
You've got the full suit on. Well done, Tony.
At least it's not like the dude in his underwear earlier.
Now, if I would have been, that could have been wrong.
Yeah, if only that was as worse as it got.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're learning from our mistakes.
So I probably was good having the earbuds off for a minute there.
Well, I'm thinking of like
I'll hear it when you play it back.
I've got an idea that I'd like to run past you guys, right? So
let's do it real live time. We're starting a startup right now.
Go.
Let's go with it.
Well, it's all about medical and data and your health. So, some years ago, many years ago, I did like what you call big data analytics and analysis, old school, right? And you don't see this with the green screen, but I wrote all on the walls around about diagnosing certain parts of health with different methods like metabolic typing, homocysteine factors, blood typing, this goes on. But putting all of this down together, so if Mel say, oh, I feel really ill and I've got this such and such illness, asking a set of questions from you to you, the answers can get far more targeted, pinpointed treatment. So I know if you're blood type O, you'd be typically more protein orientated for your diet and and homocysteine factor and this and your metabolic type.
That's a really good point.
And you bring it down, so it's such an individual health solution.
Personalized personalized medication.
Yeah, it's not stereotyping in certain grading of tumors or whatever it is. It's individual to you.
Well, and this is one thing that I found out. Sorry, I'll just share a thought, right? I'll share a thought because I've gone through this with some personal stuff, right? Is when you go through all this healthcare stuff, or if you have surgeries, like I went through a surgery and I had to do a few different things, and at some point I needed some, assistant devices. It's so difficult to have an overall coordinated effort. If what you're talking about would enable a person to know, okay, well, it's like you don't know what one department does from the other department when you're getting your own personal health care. And the doctor themselves isn't like your coach sitting there saying, okay, well, you got to consider this, this, and this. You have to do that, right? And what you're saying is if you could fly in personal info or information that's more relevant and correct, it's
an
not
individual.
fake. Yes.
So I know I was on a call. I have weekly office hours that I do to answer questions about the Accelerator. And on Wednesday, I had a woman join. And I think you might even know her from Twitter. But I had a woman join who is creating a new startup. And she is doing just that. Cool. And essentially what she's doing is she had a medical issue of her own. And she was going from doctor to doctor to doctor to specialist. And it was just this hamster wheel, and then the hamster wheel goes this way and that way and back to the same people. And she decided to start creating her own medical, her own medical record, if you will, her own little scorecard and map or whatever you want to call it. And as she went to the different doctors, she brought it with her because of her own personal experience. Yeah. And doing that saved her life because one random doctor happened to catch something on what she put together. Yeah. And he was very surprised that she was still alive. And that's what saved her life. And she realized that because we don't have this, let's call it record sharing, healthcare record sharing across doctors' offices, and there may not be the time, for doctors or physician assistants or nurses or whatever to review individual records, how can an individual take control of their healthcare? I hope she applies. I think she's going to. I think Sally knows who I'm talking about. Maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, it's so bang on. It's so true. Yeah. It's you. If anything that I've learned from it, right, is you have to really navigate your own ship. You have to take full control. That's the best way you're going to get the help you need. And you can't fully rely on medical professionals because, just to your point, they all are very siloed, right? They might deal with just one area.
Everybody's very busy. Think about how many patients you have to see, every single day, and all of the handoffs. We've got one startup at our program, Azad Health, that's doing something similar with sharing of medical records and blockchain and that sort of thing. So I think there's a lot of innovation that's still to come when we're thinking about patient experience, record sharing, using AI, ML, data and analytics, data visualization to really take control of your healthcare.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Sarbjeet. It for me, it seems it's quite key to use a Linux One in this environment, right? So, not that I want to plug it, and I'm getting paid to plug it, which I'm not, by the way.
Well, that's how HyperProtect is running.
Exactly. Extra secure, passport encryption, love that. And what better to number crunch, right? Than that amount of data.
With the bulletproof security, bulletproof security end to end,
It's really cool, right? So I think, that's really cool. Where do I sign?
Yeah, exactly.
That brings it very nicely to my favorite part of this particular episode is where each one of us gets to ask the Chief Penguin a question, and she can choose to answer it or not.
Okay.
A question of our choice. It's a bit straight at you, Mel.
Go for it.
But I know you. I know you. You live for the day, and you'll seize it easily.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Tony, T-Man.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So my question for you today, Mel, is tell us something about you that many people don't know.
Oh, that's a tame one.
Okay.
Yeah, I kept it tame. I kept
It's
it
very
tame.
tame.
Yeah.
What happened to
All
that
right.
back a police car and all that stuff?
All right. If you are, well, let me see. I'm debating between one. Okay. If you're a vegetarian, close your ears now. I have eaten a tarantula. I've eaten a field rat. I've eaten a sparrow, a snake, a water frog, like a bullfrog.
You savage.
I'm not done yet. I ate a dog salad.
Oh, you are definitely a savage. I feel passionate.
And I have a dog.
Animals.
I have a dog, but I wouldn't eat my dog. But I did eat a dog salad.
Wow.
Does that answer your question, Tony?
Tony,
Wow.
do you have
Should I
another
go back to the cop car question?
I think let's stick with the car, Come on, Sally, give us a question for Mel.
Okay, I'm gonna just it's like a completely different one. And I got asked this myself, and I've only been asked this once. So it's a bit left field. Is if you could tell anybody anything, if you like me do a lot of interviews, is there anything you wanted to express about yourself you've never had the opportunity to do so? What would be that dynamite question? It doesn't have to be anything to do with tech at all, but just something that kind of you're very passionate. You stand for so much. What I want to give the spotlight to you to say, answer your own question. Tell us something that's about the heart of you. That's kind of what I want to say.
So I've talked about this before. You know, I don't know if all of you know my story or not. I know some of you do, and I tell it sometimes, depending upon the scenario. But I think it's something that is deeply personal, and it kind of demonstrates why I believe in the work that I do. So not everybody, I think a lot of people look at me like, wow, she's got all this energy and, you know, she's so fired up about these causes. Like, where does it all come from? It comes from tragedy. It comes from my worst nightmare. So 10 years ago, my kids and I became victims of parental kidnapping. So my kids were kidnapped 10 years ago. They're safe, they're healthy, they're normal kids. I know exactly where they are. But I never got them back. And for me, about 5 years ago, I stumbled upon this video that my team was working on. And it was all about inspiring women and girls to recognize that there are, you know, female role models in science, technology, engineering, and math. So I sent it to my daughter, who was like 15 at the time. She was like, wow, mommy, can girls do that? And I thought, oh, I may not have been the mother that I should have been, could have been, would have been. That's neither here nor there. You know, that's my life. But I thought, how did I not let her know that, you know, she could be anything she wants to be? So fast forward a bit, we talk about it, and she realizes that anything is possible. And she wants to take this video to her school. So she lives in Tunisia, sandwiched in between Algeria and Libya, the spark of the Arab Spring. And she took it to her school, and her teacher played it in the classroom because it was localized into French and Arabic. And it sparked this conversation in her classroom about the girls realizing that they could also love science. They could also love technology, engineering, and math. And it sparked this conversation for the boys as well to recognize that you may be from wherever you're from, whether it's the small village outside of the capital of Tunisia or wherever you're from, but you can be anything you want to be. Don't let where you're from define you. Fast forward, my daughter says, Mommy, I'm learning Microsoft. That's her accent. So what do you mean you're learning Microsoft? And I realized she's learning Word in her classroom without access to a computer. And I thought, wow, again, I may not have been able to be the mother I wanted to be. I could have been, I should have been. You know what? I can get some computers to that classroom. Instead of sending 30 computers to one classroom. I worked with Microsoft and HP, and we sent 400 laptops to 20 schools across the country. I took 3 weeks off from work with some engineers, and we spent 3 weeks, 17 cities, traveling around the country teaching kids to code. Fast forward to today, we've now taught tens of thousands of kids to code in 12 countries. I'm very close with my children. Zahra is now learning Python, and she wants to be a big boss in tech like her mom.
Wow.
That's an awesome story.
I wasn't expecting that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How was that? That was like so different than the tarantula story.
Wow. What a
Thanks for
contrast.
sharing that story.
I'm
That's
waiting with bated breath to see what Sarbjeet's going to ask now.
Yeah. Oh, boy,
Yeah, I
it's
think
big
I would
shoes, Sarbjeet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mate.
No, I already had the question, but it leads on from what you just said. I know you're very passionate about like girl empowerment and girls in tech or women in tech. And then you also are associated with P-Tech, through IBM and so forth. Yeah. I got to know about that program last year at IBM Think. And I have 2 daughters, 2 sisters, a bunch of other kids in my family, my nieces and my cousins and stuff like that. I come from a very humble background, like a small village in India and all that stuff. Like I know the struggles of the girls. Like it is so real. Mm-hmm. They get the short end of the stick, and they are not sent to the best colleges. The boys are, all that. Things are changing very gradually. Mm-hmm. What advice will you give to a young girl who's in high school, just going through the middle school and going towards high school, or from high school to college? Well, in that age range, what will you tell them from your journey? Like what are the top 2-3 things they can do to make sure that, as you said, that they can do what they want to? Like any tips for them? That would be great.
I think the first thing is, yes, you do belong. I think that a lot of, I often get into a room, and maybe Sally experiences this too, where, you're the only woman in the room, and especially when you're working with a group of, highly technical individuals, it's just kind of what we've gotten used to. It's very similar when you're talking about entrepreneurs, and I think it's knowing that you belong regardless of whether the people in the room look like you or not, and that same conversation can be applied to, different races, or it can be applied to, different genders. Yes, you do belong. I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is kind of similar, and that's know you're not an imposter. You deserve to be there. You earned a chance to be there. It's not by accident. It's not because you were at the right place at the right time. You deserve that seat at the table. And I would say that it took me a long time before I realized that, yes, you do belong, and no, you're not an imposter.
Given that you are Chief Penguin, I'm going to ask you a question that I'm expecting you to know.
Oh, gosh.
Oh. That's a loaded question.
How many penguins and different types of penguins are there? Don't Google it.
Do we have like the sound that you can make when you curse to bleep that out? I have no bleeping idea. 9, 8.
No.
7.
Mel,
6,
just say it's only one.
5,
it's called a Linux penguin.
4.
There's only one.
I have no idea.
IBM.
17.
Just Google it. No, that's cheating.
17.
Apparently,
17.
I have people to worry about calculating these things. I'll ask someone to give me a report.
Are the statistics correct on that? Yeah.
Well, I did ask Google, and it did tell me 17.
Ask Watson, not Google.
So
what does Watson say? Yeah, I want to know what Watson says.
Yeah. 1, a Linux 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I always throw the curveball in, as Tony all well too knows.
Do I still get a prize? Do I get a participation certificate?
You get a prize. And would you like to know what that prize is?
I don't know. Sally, do I want to know about the prize?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to see if you can guess it.
I didn't know about the prize.
I'm going to see if you can guess. Right? It's something you can do from home, obviously.
Spend Tony's money.
Yeah, if you find his wallet.
If we're secure with the details.
Let me know when you find it.
Something you have to do with 2 or more people.
So drinking. Yeah, I've been drinking.
I think you could drink during this, could you?
You could. Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah.
Something that you have to go online for.
Okay,
Other
2 or more
people-
people.
other
So it's like a web conference. I don't know.
Dance party.
I'm going to put you out your misery. You have won, for being such a good sport, a virtual escape room challenge.
Wow.
So between 2, I think, and 16, you wouldn't want any more than that on a kind of video like this. I'm going to be giving a voucher so you can redeem it anytime you like.
Okay.
And, I know the guys. It's Ultima Escape Rooms just around the corner.
Oh, that's cool.
Not a plug, by the way, but you know. And you and a team of your choice can do an escape room for an hour.
All right, I like it. There you go.
Okay.
And then I shall show
glad I didn't have
and
to do
this is what it
practice.
is. Have a look at this.
I can't get out!
So it should be fun, and hopefully you tell us, or you could be even invited us to be your.
That's what I was considering, but then I was like, you know, I don't know.
How many freaking things do you have to sit on with these people? That's what you're thinking.
I'd love to do it.
I was on yesterday with them. And I
What is that behind you?
Yeah,
What is that behind you? Is that
Where?
behind you? That's awesome.
Oh, that's wait. Hold on, Frida.
Frida's
Sorry,
probably
bad joke, right?
I'm thinking Frida's still a little hurt about
That's
the
not-
dog
I hope-
salad.
That's
I hope
Mel's
that's
Frida's
not
like this.
I hope that's not your dinner.
Like, I'm gonna need a while. About
Yeah,
the
I'm
dog
not gonna have a
salad
Frida
comment.
salad. She
Yeah, we'll
doesn't
check
know.
in on the
about
dog
that.
tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I'm dog tired. That makes a whole new sense there. Yeah.
So
guys.
thank you so much, Mel, for being a great sport.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I hope I brought the noise and some inspiration, and
You're awesome
I
always.
hope I get to come back again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
what's the web address that people need to go to enter
Oh,
your Hyper Protect?
are you going to pull it
Accelerator?
across the bottom?
We can put it
I
there.
will do my best to.
It's ibm.biz/HPA-apply, which I know that's hard, so maybe we put it across the
You can say
bottom.
that again? We all do it again at the same time.
HTTPS.
Oh,
I'll skip all that. Okay.
oh my
Right
God.
there. So anyway, I
Right.
failed already.
Put it here. Put it here like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Post edit, no problem.
All right, guys, gals.
Well, thank you so
everyone.
much.
Pleasure.
It's been a great time.
Thank
We've
you for
enjoyed it.
having
I'm just
me. I
gonna
appreciate
I'm
it.
just gonna swim out of here, guys. We'll see you.
All right, my attorney's waiting for me. I will see you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Have fun. Bye.
Want to appear on the hot seat? Think you have what it takes? Contact info@thefutureasaservice.com to apply.